Hi there, I'm Emma. How are you doing today? Are you enjoying Storytale Festival? Well, I'm delighted to be taking part, especially as it's autumn, my favourite time of the year. I love Halloween, I love all the costumes and the pumpkin carving and the colours of the leaves, and I also love being able to wear big fluffy jumpers as well. Now, another reason that I adore this time of the year is that it's spider season. And I love spiders. I think spiders are superheroes and megastars. But around Halloween, we sometimes get shown spiders in not such a good light. They get a bit of a bad reputation, don't they? We see them in the shop windows and they're all fangs and scary. Well, I'm going to share with you why I think spiders are absolutely brilliant and not scary at all. And hopefully together we can have an amazing, colourful, spidery Halloween. Here I am at my bookshelf and I'm just going to pop back my copy of Charlotte's Web, which I've just finished reading again. This is one of my favourite books. I've read it lots and lots, and I wonder if you have too. It stars one of my favourite all-time spiders. So let's just pop that back in there. I'm going to share with you now some of my other favourite spiders, and here they are. Here we have Milton and his best friends Ralph, who's a hairy house spider, and Audrey, a long-legged cellar spider. And they are the stars of my two books, Milton the Mighty and Milton the Megastar. There we go. Now, first of all, why don't we have a look at why I think spiders are so awesome? The average web of a garden spider contains about 30 metres of silk. The world's biggest spider web is 25 metres wide. There are spider species named after characters in Harry Potter. So there we go. There's a reason that Spider-Man is such a great superhero character, because he has all the traits of an actual spider. Their amazing webs, their ability to climb walls and swing from the highest, tallest tower. But how do you go about actually writing a character like a super spider? Because I love spiders so much, I wanted to make sure that in my books, my characters were as realistic as possible. That is to say, as spidery as possible. So how do you think you could go about creating a character that's very realistic but is a spider? I can't get up there. I can't get under there. And I've never been down there. I'm just going to have to use my imagination. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to think of a character who's very, very small. Now, it doesn't have to be a spider or even an insect. It could be something like a pea in the freezer. What can you think of that's really, really tiny? Now, I want you to think about how you would start getting into that character's head. How are you going to become that character? Just like I became my spiders when I was crawling around on the floor looking under the skirting boards. So once you've got your character, I don't know, what have you come up with? Maybe it's a teeny tiny alien on a different planet. Or perhaps your superhero is Dust Boy, who lives in all the fluff and dust at the back of the cupboards. Whoever they are, you need to imagine that you can become that person or that alien. What can they see? What looks really big to them? What looks really small to them? What can they smell and hear? Perhaps the sounds of the house are deafening to them. Or perhaps everything on their alien planet is teeny tiny. Perhaps the whole planet is just the size of a marble. Start to really build their world. So when I was writing Milton, I really did crawl around on the floor and took a look under the sofa and under the cupboards, saw all the dust and the fluff and the world that they existed. I saw how big the gaps in the floorboards would seem to them and how drafty under the front door would be, even though to us we wouldn't even feel it. You might like to start writing a little story or create a comic book about the adventures of your teeny tiny superhero. Now, if you do, I would absolutely love to hear all about it, and perhaps you could get a grown-up to get in touch via my website, which I will put the address up for just about here. So let's see how I got on when I tried to write from the point of view of something very, very small. In other words, Milton the Mighty. So I'm going to read to you chapter 1 of the first book, which is called Running and Screaming. Milton was strolling home after a weekend away in the downstairs loo when he heard the scream. He froze. It was coming from the big house human, but it wasn't an ordinary scream. It was an all-8-leg wobbler, as his dad would have said. Surely he's not screaming like that at me. As a tiny false widow spider, Milton was completely unscream-worthy, utterly unterrifying, and occasionally mistaken for a raisin. Milton glanced up, and there was Mr. Macy on the stairs, looking right at him. The human cleaned his glasses and checked again, and on confirming that Milton was actually there and not merely a dirty smudge on the lens, he took an enormous inhale, ready to let rip again. He is screaming at me. Milton's heart beat faster as a second pair of footsteps pounded on the staircase above. "Dad!" Zoe called. "Dad, are you okay? What's happened? Are you hurt? Have we won the lottery?" Mr. M was now cowering on the stairs, clutching the spindles like a prisoner behind bars. Zoe peered over the banister. Dad, please tell me you're not screaming the house down because of that teeny spider." "But it's that spider, from the paper." "Well, I don't think it's going to leap all the way up here and grab you," Zoe sighed. "What do you want me to do with it?" "Throw something at it. Kill it, quick." "What?" Milton suddenly remembered basic training. When humans scream, spiders should run. But Zoe said, "No, it's not hurting anyone." "Not yet. It's not going to get the chance. I've changed my mind. We're evacuating. I'll call Uncle Henry and we'll stay with him. Go and pack a bag. And don't go down there, whatever you do." Mr. Macy's gaze remained locked on Milton, as if he might indeed leap over a metre into the air and eat him for lunch. Zoe followed her dad upstairs, shaking her head as he crawled all the way to the master bedroom on his hands and knees. From Milton's viewpoint, this was some very peculiar behaviour from his already baffling humans. Mr. Macy was no spider fan, for sure, but that scream was something else. Milton set off towards the front door and his house under the skirting board, frowning and looking forward to a large glass of ladybird juice. But then he heard footsteps, fast ones. It was Zoe again. She was sprinting down the stairs, even though her dad always told her off for that, with the dreaded cup and birthday card combo in her hand. Milton liked Zoe, the smaller of his two house humans. She wasn't the running and screaming type at all. She'd occasionally eek at him if he appeared suddenly, like from under the sofa while the telly was on. But even she was behaving strangely now. Her eyes narrowed like a cat and locked onto him as she reached the bottom step. At best, being trapped under a cup meant a quick trip outside, which Milton frankly didn't have time for. At worst... Milton ran in the opposite direction as fast as his 8 little legs would carry him, towards the dining room and the relative safety of the dark and dusty space behind the radiator. Scuttling at top speed across the wooden floor, he risked a quick look back and saw Zoe getting closer, the cup looming large in her hand. "Be still, little spider," she whispered. The radiator was still miles away. He remembered a TV show he'd watched late one night with Mr. M. Well, maybe not with him. Milton had been hiding under the rug. It was a pretty scary show. A boy was being chased on the TV and Mr. M shouted at the telly, "For goodness sake, zigzag!" Zigzagging apparently made you more difficult to catch. So Milton zigzagged. The zigging was fine, but as he turned to zag, he tripped over a gap in the floorboards and went flying. Halfway through an impressive loop-the-loop, he saw his friend Ralph on the far side of the kitchen. "Watcha, Milt? Out for a bit of keep fit?" Then he saw Zoe. Oh. Milton sailed through the air, then bounced off the cupboard under the stairs like a shiny brown pinball, rolling to a stop against the radiator pipe, which was hot and singed his leg hairs. "Yikes, Milt! You okay?" shouted Ralph. "You need me to pee on that?" Milton grimaced, his world spinning. "Ew, no, what's wrong with you?" "Sorry, I thought that was what you did for burns. Anyway, what have you done to upset Zoe?" Milton righted himself. If Zoe sees Ralph, maybe she'll turn her attention to him. Big and hairy, Ralph was definitely scream-worthy. There's Milton, going for a little spin. Just then, Zoe's giant feet crashed between them. "Come on, behind the radiator," called Milton. But it was too late. Zoe saw Ralph and screamed. There we go. Ralph knew exactly what to do when humans screamed. He screamed too, and ran around the kitchen where he and Zoe did a sort of scream and dance number together, like a Strictly Halloween special. Zoe went into the kitchen again, and once her back was turned, Ralph sprinted to the laptop. "Milton, what the—" Oh. Milton was staring at the screen. On Zoe's laptop, the web page of a well-known tabloid newspaper glowed brightly. The headline read in enormous letters, "Killer Spiders on the Rampage." And under the headline was a picture of Milton. So, Milton's in all sorts of trouble. The humans think he's deadly, especially the villainous pest controller Felicity Thrubwell. But fortunately for Milton, he has got one little house human on his side, and that is the lovely Zoe. Here she is. And there's little Milton on the carpet at the bottom of the stairs. Now you can see how tiny he is compared to Zoe, and how when you're writing from the point of view of something very, very small, how everything must look so huge to them. If you're interested in the further adventures of Milton, in book 1, Milton and Zoe join forces to start a web campaign. Pun definitely intended. And they save the day and save his species. And then we have book 2. Now there's a reason the cover for book 2 is so beautiful. Can you guess what it is? Yes, Milton goes off on his holidays and he goes to Hawaii, where he's hoping to have a relaxing holiday, but actually what happens is he gets himself into even more trouble. But he does find a new spider species, the Hawaiian happy face spider. But they are endangered, and Milton and his friends have to try and save them from another dastardly villain, Bradley O'Hare, billionaire. So I've mentioned spiders being fun and colourful, and probably some of you might think I'm crazy. Spiders in this country are usually brown or black, but there are some spiders in the world that are just as beautiful and just as colourful as butterflies. So I'm going to show you a few of those. Arachnophobes, don't worry, they're going to be very small, very colourful, and believe it or not, really, really cute. So, what did you think of those little guys? Aren't they lovely? Now, I promised you Halloween cute, colourful spiders. So here is a little video on how to make your own colourful spiders that you can decorate your house with, or your bedroom, or your school bag, or your school books. Well, that's all from me. I hope you've had fun. Happy Halloween, happy reading, and enjoy spider season. Bye-bye.